Hello, my name is Bradley, and I'm your host of the Internal Game. I know it may look like I have a podcast setup going on right now because I just released a video with Laku, and now I'm bopping off one with Joseph, but I do not. Maybe this is sort of one, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. A little bit of flow, a little bit of going into the next thing. And we
Amen.
have a master of flow with us today, and his name is Joseph Jansen. I'm sure you guys have heard of him. If not, you can look him up at JJ Manifesting.
Yes, sir.
That's right. Got it down. JJ
Yes, sir.
Manifesting. And yeah, it's a treat for him to be with us today. We've already done a video before, but here we are again. And yeah, everybody, let's welcome Joseph. And Joseph, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, brother. I love anything to do with flow. I love being a part of it. I just joined Joseph's community, Joseph Rodriguez's community, because he just talks about flow. And a little bit about me. For those of you that know me, I've manifested my wife back twice, which is the primary topic that I talk about because I find that in this area I struggle with a lot of emotions and a lot of information on how to manifest a person that ended up uh, being very stressful for me on the journey. And so now I stay on this topic to help those so they don't have to go through the suffering that I did in order to obtain the same outcome that I got. I do talk about, money manifestations recently as since I started practicing flow, money flows way more into my life now. Um, but yeah, so I have my own school community, I have my own YouTube channel, and all I talk about really is flow and how to maintain it because I find that what I was always looking for when I was doing affirmations or when I was doing a technique, what I really wanted was to be as I am, recognize that I am as I desire to be. And the funny thing I realize is that I was always that way. I just couldn't see it because I had some untrue belief in mind or I had some conditioning in mind. And that's all I could see. And so the funny
Hmm.
thing I noticed really early on is that when I released it, it was not that I needed to add anything onto me because that's what I used to view affirmations as is I'm going to make this so I'm going to force it's going to be this way as if it wasn't already. But the thing I started realizing is that well, what the affirmations or visualizations did is it released the idea that I wasn't the way I desired to be, or the person or the thing wasn't the way I desired for it to be. And so what brought me to the conclusion was that, well, it already was that way. So there's no affirmations I need to do. There's no visualizations I need to do. I just have to release the old idea about myself or about that thing. That's it. I need to not become conscious, which means have mind identification that this thing is a certain way or that's a certain way or my SP is a certain way. I'll give an example. With my wife, I used to say, oh, she's an anxious attachment. Oh,
Yeah.
she doesn't like talking about emotions.
Yeah.
Oh, she'll withdraw. Well, here was the funny thing. Then I would affirm she loves me, she's cuddly, she's cuddly. And I observed as I would see a little bit of feedback of my affirmations, but then I would also see more feedback of that which I was conscious of, i.e., that she was avoidant and that she wasn't loving and she wanted to talk about emotions. And now my relationship is perfect. And I'll tell you what I did. It's not affirmations, not visualizations. Anytime that an untrue belief came up and said, my wife isn't the way I want her to be, I became the awareness. I became still.
Hey.
And I became the observer. That was it. That untrue belief would release. And then funny enough, my wife was completely not even, I don't even want to say okay. I loved her as she was. There was no need for me to condition my wife in any certain way. And the result, she showed up in these miraculous ways, these loving ways. And funny enough, ways that I never even put in the thought that I'd like for her to show up. And that's what I find the most beautiful about flow is that there's so many lovely things that because I'm flowing, I allow to show up in my reality. And there are ways that I didn't even know were beautiful symbols of love or bliss for me. I had no idea because before like I was so driven by I need her to be obsessed so that I can feel like everything's okay and I can feel like I'm loved. This was all I was centered on. And so it was like to me, I needed her to not have a life, focus on me 24/7, do everything for me, tell me she loves me about every 30 seconds. That's how I thought that I needed her to show love. And then here's the funny thing is like I released that and now it's like She loves having conversations. She's very cuddly with me. She loves being all over me. Here's the most beautiful part, though. I don't need her to be like that anymore. That's the freedom. I don't need the validation. I don't need the approval. I don't need it because I recognize that I am fulfillment. I am fulfilled. That is our default state of being, one in being the awareness, the space. And so then the beautiful thing is then I can allow everything to be perfect as it is. And a lot of the times it's in harmony with my state of being. And what I mean by that is, in I know you experience this, you feel deep levels of gratitude to the brain for no reason, deep levels of bliss to the brain for no reason, deep levels of fulfillment to the brain for no reason. And yet, that is, I found, who I am underneath the mind chatter, the conditioning, the untrue beliefs, the needing this, wanting this, lacking this, controlling, manipulation. I find that it was always perfect being as I am. And so then that's the goal then is if I have something come up in mind, some problem, I had this little mantra I used to say, I don't really say it too much anymore since I just kind of remain in flow now. But if I ever had, oh, this is pissing me off, that pissed me off, this is the issue is never with the situation. It is always with my imagining.
Mhm.
And so I go, okay. And then I had this other little slogan is that the only way to win this game is to not play. And so what that means is when the brain tells me there's a problem, if I go in there and I affirm or whatever it is, I'm opening up a can of worms. Now it's going to create more problems. It's going to create more of that state. It's going to create more mind activity. What I mean by not play is I simply leave that. I become the awareness. I rise in consciousness and then it dissolves. And then automatically I will observe as ideal thoughts start flowing, ideal emotions start flowing, emotional regularity starts flowing, harmony starts flowing. My perception changes. Everything is blissful as it is. And funny enough, then my appearances. Um, this is debatable, but in my opinion, everything is existing within my consciousness. Nothing even exists outside of me. It's appearing as though it does, but I know that if I change my state and this makes everything else outside of me appear to be in harmony with me, it must be me, and I must be all that there is. And it must be consciousness simply expressing itself, experiencing itself in different forms and such. So, anyways, that was a mouthful, but
All
flow
right.
for that.
Yes, all right, man. Thank you. And so when you said that you I like that to win is to not play the game, and I agree. I'm more of a return to stillness, just get out of it entirely, right? But like in the beginning, when people starting to practice things like this, it does take a bit of effort, right? A bit of a awareness that hey, I'm getting pulled to like go play this game and win, right? I want to argue. I want to prove I'm right. And one of my favorite sayings is, in order to be right, you have to make someone else wrong, right?
Mm,
And and think about it. This is with a person that you say you love, right? This is this is like you're saying this is my person. I love this person, but like this pull in me because I'm married as well, right? And I get this. I tell everybody else, I'm like, man, I know it may not seem this way, but manifesting the person is the easy part, right? Like
I agree.
living with this mirror, right? This solid reflection of you, right? Like, and to feel this pull, um, to go argue, to make yourself right, and of course make this other person wrong, like, and they have their own defenses. They're
Mm,
that's gonna be like, wait, what? No, 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 no. You're wrong, right? And to catch yourself in that moment and say, you know what? No, I'm not playing, right? And I'm sure you know this, and then guess what? It just kind of turns into you when you don't do that.
yeah, I love that. I love that, and I think something helpful that people can do is what I find extremely helpful, or I found extremely helpful is how am I feeling emotionally.
Hmm.
And this is a very, very, very big indicator because if I am feeling, you can feel that tightness in your stomach, and you can feel that tightness in your chest, your heart beating. You're starting to catch emotions that unconsciously you may identify as being anger or sadness or fear, something like this. This is a great indicator that you're starting to become unconscious.
Yeah.
And it's in those moments that they used to have in AA, hungry, angry, lonely, tired,
Oh
home,
yeah,
right?
I tell people this, Joseph.
Dude,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
And it's just pausing. It's just becoming still in that moment because the thing is maybe the right action is for me to have a conversation. But I can tell you that it's never the right thing whenever I'm doing it out of a place of anger or resentment or sadness or something like this. Um, because I'm not going to end up getting. I mean, we've all played this game where we go when we play that, and our hopes or our intentions is that hey, we'll get this proof and validation outside. There'll be harmony, but from the state that I'm coming from, it's almost impossible for that to be the outcome. Now, the
Yeah.
funny thing is, like, hey, maybe once I reach that stillness and I emotionally regulate and I get rid of all this. They're doing this and they're doing this and they're doing and this is wrong and the typical thing that comes with an emotional turbulence. Well, maybe I do want to have a conversation, but at that place, what I find most times I don't. 90, I'd say probably 95% of the time, it's like I don't want to have that conversation. Not because I'm afraid or anything, but the problem's gone because the problem was just simply my thinking and that state that I was in. And but let's say the 5% of the time I do have a conversation. The funny thing is, then my wife will go, "Oh, it was completely this. So it was a misunderstanding, or I don't know. Maybe something was important to her, and again, a misunderstanding." And it ends up being this lovely, flow-based and harmonious relationship where it's like because of that challenge, we ended up becoming closer and building more communication, and the love deepened and the harmony deepened as a result because now we understand each other better on a deep level and such. You find that the same for you too?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And so when me, I'm trying to embody my podcasting abilities. So I'm gonna embody my podcasting abilities. So all right. So when did you go from kind of the idea of maybe trying to make something happen, like we're talking about affirming, imaginations were like, nope, this is happening. She's cuddly, right? To being like, hey, let me try this.
Honestly, for me, I think it was primarily I just got done with suffering.
Heard that. Say that
I,
all the time.
I just, I
Heard.
just, I just got tired. It was like, and I said this all the time. It's like, yes, you end up getting wonderful out pictures of shadows representing your state of being, which is lovely. But what I always really wanted was I just wanted to feel bliss within me. I wanted to feel peace within me because I was just so I had it where I made money. I had it where I was on vacation, and the whole entire time my inner state was in a turmoil. I'm suffering. I'm upset at this person. My mom's not right. The weather's not. And it's like I'm in this beautiful, quote unquote, outside environment, but my inside environment was hell. Well, the problem with this is, well, I can change outside environments, but the problem was is that my inside environment I couldn't run from. And so it was like I had to, it was continuous from the moment I woke up until I went to bed. It was suffering. It was complaining. It's telling me that how this isn't right. My wife's going to leave me. She's with somebody else. I won't make money. I'll be this person forever. And I just got so tired of that. I got so tired. So I was like, if nothing else, at least my inner world would be blessed. At least I'll be able to go within and there'll no longer be a place I'm trying to run from or I'm suffering from. At least it'll be a place that's like heaven. And then a funny thing I observed is that, well, then my outer reality very quickly started reflecting the change that happened within me. I'm talking about within like a couple of days to a week, I would see new. I love the way that Joseph Rodriguez shows it is symbols of bliss or symbols of love or symbols of fulfillment. I love that description because that's what it is. It's not fulfillment, but it's a symbol of the fulfillment that I'm being. And another thing I learned through practicing law is like I'm gonna like manipulate myself by saying affirmations, or I'm gonna convince myself that I'm being this way. Um, and I was doing this in an attempt almost to manipulate the game of how it works. But the funny thing I realized is that I am aware of who I'm being. I can't manipulate myself.
Mhm.
When I am genuinely being in flow, I know I'm in flow. When I'm genuinely being in fulfillment, I know that I am. This isn't manipulation. I'm not forcing or controlling. I'm genuinely being this way. And the funny thing is, when I'm genuinely being this way, what I love flows to me. And when I first started, I was trying to make it happen. I was trying to manipulate. I was trying to force. I was trying to affirm, in an attempt to get something. And I found as many people do that do this for a while, is that it just doesn't work. You may get slight proof, but then when I'm needing something or I'm worried about something or I'm trying to control something, I'm making an identity out of something. Then there's the once I get it, there's the fear of I'm going to lose it. What if it goes away? I need this. I have to have this. And then there's the fear of it, whether it's money or SP or whatever it is. It's what happened to me the first time I manifested my wife. I did it from mind identification, just affirming she loves me, she loves me, she loves, and then she showed up that way. And then what I found though is because I created an identity out of it, I was so identified with the mind. When she came back, I then feared losing her.
Of course.
I feared this. I feared that. Secondary. This is another huge thing too for those that are manifesting a person. Please let go of secondary thinking. Neville says this. Man's chief delusion is secondary costs. I would so often go, if I did some action, my assumption would be she must be hurt and want to break up with me because of this. I am not being the power when I think that there's a secondary thing that's in opposition. When I think a secondary thing is acting on its own accord, I'm going to have a very hard time with the law. That's what caused me so many headaches is that I would do something and I go, she must be thinking this. Guess what? 100% of the time, she'd show up that way. Now I do something. First off, I don't say it was unideal. I get rid of that. But the second thing is I don't go to the, I wonder what she's imagining because I did this. I simply go, this is in harmony. We're always in harmony or something like this if there's overthinking. And I haven't had a separation sense, a huge fight sense. My wife appearing is hurt for weeks or months like she was before, her angry for weeks or months like she was before. We go through something, like I said, every time it just seems to bring us deeper in love, deeper connected, and deeper in harmony because I got rid of this secondary thinking that she's doing something, she's tired of my shit, she's secondary imagining, which obviously is coming from me because I'm imagining that she's imagining this, but you get what I'm saying, that she's her own separate entity that's doing her own thing. That was life changing for me as well, getting rid of that.
Yeah, most definitely, man. Actually, I was just talking about that today in one of the group sessions in school. Um, and also, because I'm kind of on a kick right now on my own, on the channel, the internal game channel, I go through different little phases, like it's just a thought or whatever. What I try to do is I try to like, I want to say trick the mind, but I definitely want people to do certain things where they can get out of it. Because if they can
Mm,
get out of it, then they can recognize like they'll have their own realizations, something that like
yeah.
that I can't do for them, and they'll be able to kind of, oh, okay, I see that. So that's kind of like my plan all the time with the teachings. And
Mm,
one thing that really set me from Eckhart um, was in the power of now. We probably talked about last time because it was important part of my evolution, and it was that he said if you really want a peace, you would choose peace. And I remember thinking, man, but like I do want peace and I would choose peace, but I wouldn't. And like I always found myself sabotaging things. I always found myself in some kind of mix up. And so, or like the Course of Miracles, where he said, or she said, there must be some unconscious belief that getting upset buys us what we want. If we didn't have the belief, why would we get upset? And so like I like that because it's like, yeah, why would we get upset for someone passing us in traffic? Or why would we get upset that it means nothing? Like like other than to feed a separate self or to feed
mm,
a victimized self, right? A little
mm,
self and to strengthen this. So um I noticed that the people that are um I don't want to say successful manifesting because everyone is a super successful manifester, right? Like everyone's getting it, right? Like they're getting what they're putting out kind of thing. But the people that kind of step into these roles of I'm doing this and being aware and maybe even into teaching things like this and is that they actually had enough. And I think that's the difference is like because we do trick ourselves because there is part of our unconscious, there is part of this identity that doesn't want to be chosen if it doesn't feel chosen,
Mm,
right? And if we actually did finally want the peace, we would choose it because it's very easy to do. You just surrender,
mm,
right? Like it's not anything that has to be it's not anything that has to be accomplished or done. You just say, hey, you know what? I'm done resisting. Right? Doesn't mean you don't get your shit. It's actually quite the opposite. But it's one of those things where you kind of like, hey, I've had enough of the mind stuff, the mind chatter, the narration, like the constant struggle, the constant resistance to life, and I feel like life is resisting me. And like I'm done. And because that's the answer I always say when someone says, like, what finally clicked? And I was like, pain, dude, pain, the rehabs, the heartbreak, the constant fear of the next thing happening, and then the next thing happening. And then it just was like over and over and over again. And finally you say, you know what, like, let me just try this like being aware of thought for a second. Let me just try to see like how insane that I've actually been being because like it feels like I have been, right? And then so the people, and I don't care if that's someone that kind of goes our route of like maybe not creating another identity for self, but recognizing illusion and kind of just kind of living with through experience and choosing experience if you want, or kind of just being open now or open to experience, what have you. Or even if somebody wants to create a fucking brand new like another mind-made self, it if someone's actually done and they're like, no, I'm doing this, they'll do it. They will just do it. And I think that like what helped me was that line from Eckhart where he said, hey, if you want a peace, you would choose peace. But if you look closely, how you see yourself is intrinsically intertwined with the pain. So to give up the pain would mean to give up how you see yourself. And
mm,
basically the ego just doesn't want that. So what we're doing is we're fighting, it's not even it doesn't matter if it's good or ideal, even though, it's here or neither here nor there. But like it just wants to stay consistent. That's it. It's just looking for proof of how it sees itself. When you're with your wife, you're like, man, she's gonna leave me. All you were doing when nothing was happening except for imagination, looking for proof of how it saw self. And the affirming and all this stuff, it's like, yeah, you brought this person in, but then the deep-seated, I don't even want to say deep-seated sounds like it's concrete, but like the belief system, the state, like is like, but now we gotta watch her. Is she going anywhere? And he goes back to this thing. And now now we're back in the same position because and really did we ever really leave identity at that point? No. Right? We just kind of forced some affirmation for some movement kind of stuff. But we never really left the position. So like when I recognize that holy crap, there's a part of me that doesn't actually want happiness and peace like I say that I want. And I was really done with the pain. I was like, you know what? What do I have to lose?
mm,
Like I already don't have the person. Damn sure ain't got
mm,
no money. Like I don't have none of these things. Like I already don't have it. I have nothing to lose. Let me just start being aware of thought because I actually am done with pain now.
mm.
And so like that is to me is the biggest factor. It's like you actually have to be done. There's nothing that separates me from anyone that I talk to except for the fact that maybe, just maybe, I thought that I was being insane and I said I don't want to be insane anymore. Like that's pretty much about it. Like everyone knows this stuff. I mean, they hang out in the communities and stuff. They watch the videos. I know they know this stuff, but like the strong force that they're just maybe just not realizing is that there's a part of them that wants it, that likes the pain, that is it's comfortable, it's familiar, it's uh it's habit. And again, to give up the pain, who would you be? And like that's scary for a mind-made self. So like, but like to me, that's kind of what's been happening. That's kind of I've been on that kick as of late. Because yeah, if and I know it sounds like maybe that's just my assumption, but it does kind of sound a little callous. But if you really, really wanted it, you would have it.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I love Tony Robbins with this awesome saying. He said, change doesn't take time. Getting to the place where you want to change does. And I agree with that completely.
Yeah.
It's like, the moment that you truly decide that you're different, like you're completely different. And people always ask, well, what does it mean to be different? Well, it means that not necessarily that you're not going to have some of the old thoughts. Every time that I've released stuff, a lot of these old thoughts and belief systems have knocked on my door continuously. What it means is that I no longer accept or submit to these thoughts as being true of me. that's how I purify the mind, right? And that's how I talk about in school, and when I do the lives on TikTok. Is it's learning that your awareness of being is fulfillment and everything you were looking for, right? And this is how you manifest what you love, or manifesting sounds like you do something. This is how you observe what you love flowing into your life. And then all life is removing flow blockers from that point. What is a flow
I agree.
blocker? It's any time to me that some outside circumstance triggers me. Well, why am I triggered? And I'll tell you 100% of the time, my experience, it's always because this circumstance makes me deny something about me. It's always about the little I, right? Because when you're in flow, there is no little me, there's no I. It's not about me. I'm observing. So I know that if I'm making something about me, the ego's active, right? That's where I have the I thoughts are doing this to me. It's not like this is the little I is coming up with an untrue belief. Somehow this person needs to be like this so that the little I can be the way it wants to be. Or it needs to not be like this so little I can be the way it wants to be. And
Yeah.
then when I recognize that, okay, this circumstance, what does it feel like it's going to get from the circumstance? And this is helpful, right? Once you realize like you can maintain presence continuously, you don't need to do this anymore. Desire leaves, untrue beliefs leave automatically, obviously, right? Like you just, it's very blatantly clear when it's a real I thought and a little I thought. Um, but what I'll ask is, what, how would I feel if the situation was the way I wanted to be? Very helpful because if I go, well, if this person's not like this, like for instance, I'll share with you one of the last times I did this was about 3 or 4 months ago. My wife was experiencing some emotions. I was having thoughts in mind. She then reflected it back perfectly as a argument and in disharmony. And I was in my, I noticed I always had this thing go, I wanted to fix it. I wanted to brush and lay at the table. And I go, why do I need my wife to be different than she is now? Because I know that when I'm in flow, everything is perfect, right? I can't possibly see anything being wrong. The only way I could see something wrong is in my mind. So how could I see why does my wife need to be different? What I found is so I could feel safe and I could feel like we're in harmony. Recognizing that I'm the source of that, I let go of that condition. What I mean by that is I let go of that untrue belief that I needed some outside thing to be a certain way so that I could be the way I wanted to be. And I just simply acknowledge I am the way I want to be. The result, I released the untrue belief. My wife was beautiful the way that she was, and I was beautiful the way that I am. I went right back into flow. The result, my wife lovingly rearranged herself. We had a lovely conversation. Our love deepened. That's all I do. I release flow blockers. Anything that brings me out of being straight consciousness, and I start overthinking, I start having emotional turmoil, 100% of the time it's non true belief.
Mhm.
And that can be a helpful permission slip for you to remember that your existence is fulfillment, that your existence is bliss, your existence is love. There is nothing for you to obtain, only things for you to experience. And so once I get back into my marriage, I feel the way that I was looking for this outside thing to feel. I go back into flow, the thing's fine, and it lovingly rearranges itself. That's it. Very simple. And I find the deepest teachings always are simple. If it's complex, it's usually ego. I'm wanting to, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's definitely simple. Truth is always simple. Mine not so much, but tr but truth, yeah. Yeah, 100%. Like I think I just talked about that in a video yesterday where I was like, man, like that the simple, right? You if one is to actually change the story, right, then and stay there, then you'd be fine. Like that it would be your new way of living, right? But like
Mm.
but mine says, but what about this? Right? Like
Yeah.
right. So like the idea is very simple. Like inside first outside second, cool. Like, you are a God, cool, right? Mine's like, but that person's still real separate from me. Right. So like I don't feel oneness. I feel like that guy's a douchebag. I feel like
Yep.
that woman is such and such. Like it's yeah, the ideas are 100% simple. The truth is simple, right? But mine's like, nah, dude, we don't do that. We don't do that over here in these parts, right? So like for me, like I love the idea. That's why I like Eckhart so much. It's more about for me more about recognizing the illusion of mind and kind of things just kind of take shape after that. And that's kind of what you're saying. You say I need to recognize the untrue belief in mind, not the thing itself. No, it's coming from a perception. It's coming like it's just mind. It's not nothing's wrong. And so, like you said, it's an untrue belief. It's a blocker. And I love that description of the mind. Now, I don't have a problem with mine. I know it may seem like I have a problem with mine and affirmations. I don't, right? I send them Christmas cards and stuff. Like I care about these things. I just I just know that like there's a deeper essence. That what we actually is what we actually want to experience. And I struggled with alcohol back in the day for a long time. And I remember hearing Eckhart talk about what we're actually looking for is to get our thought. And it's
Mm,
like, I remember like, dude, that's true for me
mm,
anyway, because I was like, dude, like I did think less. I did feel a bit more courageous. I wasn't as fearful. And I was more like, even though it was below thought, as he describes it, instead of like rising above thought, I was below thought. I still was trying to get out of my mind.
yeah,
And I just didn't know how to do it.
yeah.
Right. So, yeah. So like when you think about it, it's all just the actual issue is the belief in a belief that you are the mind. Everything else stems from that.
Mm, I agree.
Anything else is from that.
Yep,
Like it starts there and that's about it. It's about the only, problem that one actually has. Other than that, it's perfect.
1000%. Yeah,
So,
yeah. I agree with you completely. Yeah, and like you said, it is extremely hard, especially with like SP or something like that. I mean, I that brought me to bring some wanting to leave here several times. I remember lots of times where I was crying of frustration and anguish and wanting to give up because it was like I knew what I needed to do, but the mind just wouldn't let me do it. So it was very hard, especially the second time. It was like, I made a story out of it of, well, I'm a master manifestor. I know how to do this. I should have done it by now. I shouldn't even had to do it part two. And so then the interesting thing was is that, I had more stories and more mind to work through that time. It was
Mhm.
just different. It was the same thing as the first time where I was overcoming the mind, but um, there was just different aspects of it that it tricked me. And that's the funny thing I find about the mind is that, then I leave some untrue beliefs or some traps, and then all of a sudden now, um, it tells me I'm the best flow master in the world. I'm the smartest person ever. You know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
so then it evolves it evolves some other way, then it makes a new identity, you know what I mean? So like that's the thing behind it is that it finds, oh, I can't get him like this anymore. What is the new thing that he's practicing? Let's make a concept out of that, and let's make some identification and create some suffering out of that, and then it can create some I'm better than or I'm less than out of this. And it just wants to evolve. It wants to continue to make some. I'll admit, I fell into that trap for like, dude, close to a month. I was saying I was the best and etc. And then I realized, I'm like, holy shit, there's just this continuous evolution where it wants to take things that I observe my 3D avatar experiencing it, wants to make a mind made self out of it and create some more suffering and create some better than and less than out of it. And it's like this ever evolving thing where it wants to dig its roots into things that I'm experiencing.
Oh, it needs a home.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just looking for a home, looking
Yeah.
place to belong, right?
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Um, but but no, not today, right? Like so, I love that. So check this out. Um, I love, dude, like I really do love the fact that there's like quite a bit of us, right? Like in the sense of like maybe teaching this stuff. Like, do I get comments sometimes, or maybe in a one-on-one, and someone will say, someone said this, like, what do you think about that? And I'm like, hey man, I have no hate towards that. But like, here's what I would say, like maybe why you should like just take a look at that, right? Because like, but I have no hate to that. And I love that there's a bunch of us because I couldn't imagine um there just being like one teacher. Like, I love the fact that there's some people that gravitate more towards you. I love the fact that maybe there's some people that gravitate more towards me, and we got a little vibe, and someone else and someone else. Like, it's a great feeling because like, uh, I happen to vibe with Eckhart. Like Neville, I love Neville's teachings because like that's how I found law of assumption. But like, I tend to gravitate more towards like Eckhart and Alan Watts, things like that. Again, more recognizing mind stuff because I realized that was my issue, right? But like, there's so many great people have influenced the way that I see things and I've learned about things. So yes, I too have caught myself. The reason I brought that up is I too have caught myself being like, man, I honestly think that I might be the best at this. Like I like I wasn't even trying to affirm. I was like, man, that was a cool video. Like that, I was like, that was a really cool video. I was like, I was like, I don't really know if anyone's talking about this, but like, they're probably not because I'm so advanced, really. But
Yeah,
like, I was like,
yeah,
but and then you kind of catch yourself, and you're like, dude, listen, hey, killer, hey,
yeah.
don't forget the purpose. The purpose is to you know be of service in a sense of like I love how you kicked it off of saying like I stay on this topic so people don't go through maybe the pain that I went through and like that's what I'm doing, man. Like I found myself kind of shifting a lot out of SP more so just my stuff because I believe that um it's all the same, and you're gonna get your reflection. These are byproducts, but like, but but I talk about SP a lot, and like, I get it because I've struggled in a relationship. I've done these certain things, but like, the main thing for me is to keep the main thing, and that's to be of service and to, um, I had a guy in AA one time. He told me, "You'll stay sober. It's the main thing," and he's like, "And the main thing is keeping the main thing the main thing." And
Yeah.
so like when I make commitments to myself in my life, like, the internal game, what are we gonna do? What's my value system with this? And the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing.
Mhm.
Even when the mind's like that, you might be untouchable when it comes to this stuff. Like, and then
Mm.
it's just like, dude, there are people out there right now who hear a video from you or someone else or someone else or someone else, and they're like, dude, that really touched me. That got me out this funk for a second. Like, and that made me see something a different way. And like, when that happens, why would I ever want to be the best?
Yeah.
Would I like to have a lane in a sense? Yeah, yeah. Like in a sense of, but only to add. To the
1000%.
creativity of the whole thing. So I like that idea. But no, I love that because Eckert talked to me about that. I talk about him like he talks to me personally, but he didn't talk to me about that. I just read it in the book. And he was like he talked about how like be careful for watch the ego because it'll come in the back door. Like you can go from kind of finding out about things about uh I'm not my mind, right? And now I'm more spiritual than you. Right? Like
Mm,
you go
mm.
from like from
Yeah.
one thing to another, and it is it's very common. The mind is
Yes.
a strong phenomenon. It's
Yeah.
it's it's really really wild.
Yeah. And the thing that I have observed too is that, if I'm not the personality, which the personality is what creates separateness. I'm
Yeah,
the awareness, which is what everything is. Well, then it's simply God just experiencing itself. What competition is there? There is none. There's consciousness expressing itself in different forms, and that's it. And so it's like, we stay in flow and we have certain desires that flow. So I shouldn't say desires, but what I'll call like a certain urge to express myself in a particular way is what it'll be, because I don't call it desire because it's not I want a particular outcome, but I do want to experience my 3D avatar doing something, saying something, creating something, experiencing itself in some way, shape, or form. That is the fulfillment of it. But I find that that's about the extent of desires nowadays. Like I observed Reverend Ike a while back, and he goes, "Man, I'm so blessed."
River Ice dope.
He goes, "We don't even get an opportunity to pray anymore." That's how I am. It's like life is just lovely. I don't get an opportunity to pray for anything because I remain desireless. Because while you're in flow, you can't. It's almost impossible to desire anything because you realize that your existence is fulfillment. And where I found that a desire comes from when I feel like I'm lacking something and I'm trying to condition it with something outside of me. Or another way of putting it is I'm wanting to recognize that I am the way I desire to be, which is who you
Like
are in
that.
consciousness, right? So that's fundamentally what a desire is. Desire is to recognize that I am. So it's,
Mm.
it's a very quick.
Yo, Joseph, did you know that I was a reverend?
Did you know what?
That I'm a reverend?
I am too, bro. I got my little
Did you really, bro?
my certificate.
Dude, I did it in 2000. Oh man, I don't know. It had to have been 2018, 19. I forgot all about it. And then like I got this email and it was like, congratulations on your 3 years of being was it online?
Yeah, same,
Did you
same.
do it through that life thing?
To be honest, what I remember is someone just told me I was going to do the speaking thing where I was going to marry people, and
Yeah, that's
I
what I was
met.
gonna do.
Yeah, yeah. The guy at the time was like, "Yo, I do this at weddings and stuff. You just got to go online and fill out a form." and that was it. And then I was a reverend after.
Yeah, me too. Do you talking about the monastery?
Yeah,
Brother, I knew we were tight. Look at this. He, Reverend.
I love it, bro.
Reverend, dude. So
I
hey,
love it.
basically what I did is I told people in the school community, I said, listen, I'm gonna start offering a package. I help you manifest your person, then I'll fly to where you at, marry you. How about that?
Dude, I can't tell you how many people have asked me to marry them when they get married.
Dude,
I'm like, "Okay, cool,
I
no,
just want to
sure,
travel.
bro.
I just want to travel. I'm not
Like
asking for
you give
much.
me the flight, I'll come out there with the family. I'm down.
That's what I'm saying. I don't even need you to give me the flight. Just invite me.
I'm down, bro.
Yeah. So, let's go ahead and yeah, that was great. Joseph, thank you again, man. I always appreciate your insight on things. And hey, all I'm saying is when it comes to reflection, I did introduce you as like a master of flow. So I'm saying like it must be hey, it must be. We didn't talk about that. There wasn't no type of introduction. I naturally said it. I am Joseph's reflection. And I thank you for sharing that, man. Like one thing I appreciate about you is like you're like me in the sense of like not scared to get a little personal, not a little scared to share like, hey, this is I'm a human as well. Like I think sometimes people can look at a person who puts out videos and like, oh, this person's polished. So much so that thought even stopped me from maybe even making a YouTube a year before I did.
Mm, bro,
Seriously, a year before I did, I was like, man, I was like, man, I think I have some understandings, right? But like these people kind of polished. They weren't really as maybe as rugged as me, maybe. And really, it's like, dude, that's been the beauty of the whole thing, is that people like I love when people come to me and say, hey, listen, like I feel like I can talk to you about that because like you said you was crazy, right? Like so
bro.
it's a good thing. I learned that from AA. I did. I learned that whole situation being like, man, like attraction, not promotion. Like be real, and people relate. Yeah,
To me,
people
the
feel
fact
alone.
that you went through all that and then you're where you're at now is even more to me impressive. Like I think that's still to this day. You see somebody who's beat down and they had a lot of struggles they were creating for themselves and suffering, and then they're at a place where they're no longer. I wouldn't say I'm normal. I'm still pretty crazy at times, but
Oh, I'm
um,
out there, brother.
the difference is I'm okay with being weird today.
Yeah,
I'm
I don't
okay
reject.
with you know what I mean. Like it's not a problem anymore. I don't judge myself. I just observe and laugh and appreciate. But to me, that makes it even better that you went through a lot of stuff. And dude, I was fucked up. Or I had like I would say I had BPD. I had social anxiety. I had suicidal tendencies. I was
What
a
is that?
heroin addict and meth addict and alcoholic and cocaine addict. And to me, it's like what it allows us now to understand just different manifestations of the ego and unconsciousness, and we can dig into those deep waters and we can not judge them. We can love them, and even
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like stop them from I don't know, stop them, but direct them in a way that they can experience themselves in life where they don't have to suffer for as long. They don't have to break down. They don't have to go through the confusion. They don't have to go through the uncertainty. They can find a strong foundation that very quick. I observe people all the time, and I trust you too. It's funny because the more conscious that I am, the more in flow I am, the more that I observe others that are reflecting my flow. And so I observe people all the time transforming, very quickly. So I think that you're a blessing because you went through all those things. You can relate to more people.
oh yeah, dude. That's what I'm saying. That's what I appreciate about you. Like when you told me like on their backstory, I was like, man, this is dope because um this is what we're here to do. It's like back in the day, like whether it be an AA story or where like Bill and Bob, they kind of found a way, and then what did they do? They just went straight to helping.
Hmm.
Like straight to that. Like they have a firm belief. That's part of the whole program is like get yourself together and then go help somebody else. And so
Yeah.
like Buddha, Jesus, they awakened and then they started to spread message. Like I love that outline. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
get yourself together and then go back for somebody else.
Yeah.
Like it, and I try not to. Now I have some videos sometimes where I'm like, man, guys, boss up, do your thing. But like I have to do things on a way of like I gotta be inspirational sometimes. I give you a little pump. I gotta be like, hey, listen, you're being crazy. That's okay. I'm crazy too. I have to or been crazy too. Like all I have to kind of take the route of the I guess, role now, and that's okay. But like, I'm willing to do it. But like, that's the most important part to me, man. Is when people they reach out and they say, "Hey, man, like that clicked,"
Yeah.
and it's like, dude, that's what I'm here to do. Like, I don't
Yeah.
really. It's like it's my mission, and
Yeah.
I think that that's the what I was looking for my whole life, man. Like
Yeah.
honestly, is some kind of purpose, some type of service, um, and that's what it's about for me. Like I love to joke because I'm not in pain anymore like that. I don't have to, I don't really trip on a lot of things that it comes to like thinking something's actual permanent. Um, I'm human. I live the experience, but like that to me, that's what it's about. And so I'm glad I met someone like you on the journey who is doing the same. I greatly appreciate you and all your work and all your insight and just how you look at things, how you live life, and how you're out there trying to grab the next hand. And so like yeah, I greatly appreciate you being here, man. I'm honored to share the space with you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Feelings mutual. I appreciate you. Thanks for having me. Take
Most
care.
def. And if no one caught that, then just affirm. That's all I got. And I will see you guys mañana. Uh,